Well, I want to just begin by welcoming all the members of the media for our press conference and update. We just completed a tour. My name is Robert Garcia. I'm the mayor of Long Beach, and we just completed a tour of what is really a humanitarian mission of the U.S. government, and this is a humanitarian emergency shelter that will be welcoming migrant children here as early as today. I also want to begin by thanking HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services. They are, of course, the ones who are operating this facility, and the Office of Refugee Resettlement. With us today doing the tour, we are being joined by our Congressman, Alan Lowenthal, who will be making some remarks, as well as members of the Long Beach City Council, and many community leaders who have been invited by the city that have been engaged and will be part of the work that are happening here at the shelter. I just want to begin today by noting that sometime later today there will be children arriving here at the center. We know that the mission of this center here in Long Beach is quick family reunification. The reunifications should be done as fast as possible, and we also know that the space that we are in is temporary. It is incredibly important that in this moment we treat every single child with compassion, with kindness, and with love. Long Beach has a rich history in welcoming refugees. We all know that this community welcomed many members from Cambodia during a difficult time in that history, and have consistently stood on the side and stood up for immigrants coming in and out of our community. We also are grateful that many members of the Long Beach City Council who are here voted unanimously to move forward and to host this shelter for us here in Long Beach. And to be clear, this is a temporary facility, and this shelter will provide numerous services for the kids as they arrive. Now, we just did a tour of this facility, of what is now this humanitarian shelter, and I want to share a few of the things that we have learned and that we're learning along the way. Every child that arrives here will have, of course, 3 meals a day, multiple snacks. Every child that arrives here will have classroom time, 3 to 4 hours of classroom time with teachers every single day. There are classrooms that are set up in and around the convention center in the main hall, in many of those breakout rooms. This is also, unlike other shelters, there will be outdoor space. Just on the other side of this room, there is active outdoor space for children to be able to have outdoor time, and a huge recreational setting inside. Large screen TVs for videos, games, every board game you can imagine, and of course every child as they come in, there are books and supplies, and for those that need clothing are all here to welcome them. In addition to that, there are important services that every single child will receive. Most importantly is medical service. Inside this shelter, they are building out a full-sized clinic. The UCLA is on site, and UCLA Medical Center and the UCLA Hospital is the lead here at this shelter, and they are partnering and bringing in local Long Beach medical providers and support to create a world-class medical system within this shelter. So all types of medical care will be available, and we saw that being constructed here, and you'll hear about on this tour. In addition to these services, every other type of service that you can imagine will be provided for every single child, where it's access to mental health care, social workers, access, of course, to folks that are guiding them through recreation process and recreation leaders, and ensuring that they are feeling safe and comfortable. In addition to that, we also know that what's important for us to recognize here is that the children that are coming here are coming straight from the border. These children have been met at the border most of the times with no parents, no adults. They don't have their family with them. And so these children, essentially from the border, are, as we know, in these detention centers along the border. And that is no place for a child. And so these humanitarian shelters are opening up here in California and across the country to bring children into a more humane setting and hopefully reunify them quickly. I want to note that according to HHS, it is their goal to try to get, on average, the children placed into their family or sponsor within about 7 to 10 days. There are some cases that take longer, and oftentimes certain children, it takes longer to find those families. But the goal here is quick reunification. I want to turn this over now to probably the first person that I called when we got a call from the White House and the Biden administration to take on this humanitarian mission. And that is, of course, our congressman that represents Long Beach and has been a long time leader in our community and has served in the council and the state legislature. And of course, this is incredibly important to him as the federal government and Congress has oversight of all of these facilities and programs. So let me introduce Congressman Lowenthal.
I have a few notes that I've kind of written down, and well, I've already dropped something on the floor. Oh, here it is. That I've written down that I'm going to get to in just a minute. But as a member of the congressional delegation, on a 2, maybe 3 times, I've visited those detention centers on the border, and they were no place for people or for children. They were crammed together. They were in cages. This was prior. This was over the last 9 years. I visited at different times under different administrations. So I didn't know what to expect today. And I really, want to thank the city of Long Beach, the administration, the mayor, the city council. I want to thank FEMA. I want to thank HHS. I want to thank the medical professionals that come. I want to thank all the people that are going to be providing services here, because there is no doubt that under a very trying situation for children that have been traumatized, this city is trying to do the best it can. As the mayor pointed out, I have been a representative on the city council. I've been a representative on the state legislature. I've been now a representative in the federal government. I've been around for a while. That's almost 3 decades of serving my city as an elected official. And I've lived in Long Beach for 5 decades since graduate school and came to teach at Cal State Long Beach. And I can tell you, I've never been more proud of my city than I am today. What it's doing to step up in this crisis. We're a city that embraces diversity. We're a city, and many of my constituents who are immigrants themselves and refugees. We've gone through this a number of times. And now we're being called once again as a city to step up and provide help for these children. And we're going to do that. These are the most vulnerable children. These are children, as you know, that are as I just listened this morning, these are the ones that made it, through a horrible situation to even get to the United States. And now they're separated from their families. And so we've got to demonstrate, again, as we've done over the years, that we can provide a caring, loving, supportive environment. You know, our federal immigration system is broken, and it hasn't been fixed for many decades now. It's been broken. But the city didn't create that. That's not the city that did that. What the city can do is to make sure that the children that are caught up in this broken system are treated humanely, that we provide them the services that they need, and when they remember what it was like later on, they will remember Long Beach as a place that tried to meet their needs and care for them at a time that they were very scared and frightened and didn't know anything about what was happening and what the United States was like. And I think offering this help really demonstrates who we are as a city. That's who we are. That's what everybody knows and feels, that sense of community too, that we are a caring, supportive system. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to support the city. I'm so proud to support HHS. I'm proud to support FEMA. I'm just really glad, not only as a Congress member, but as one of the many residents of Long Beach who will be participating in this process. I'm just glad that we're doing our part. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think there's a little bit of an echo, so I think they're trying to, it might be that these two things are too close together. I'm not sure if the tech team is looking at that. I want to thank Congressman Lowenthal. I want to now introduce Angelica Salas. Angelica runs the largest immigrants' rights organization in the state of California and certainly in the region. Everyone knows Chirla and the work that they do to ensure the humane treatment of immigrants as they're here, not just in California, but across the country. And so it was important for us to have her and her organization are working on a daily basis with the federal government and with the state government on this very issue and immigration reform. So, Angelica, please.
Buenos dias. My name is Angelica Salas, Executive Director of CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, and I'm here with other community partners to tour the facility. And with us is also immigrant defenders who will be representing some of the children who are here. CHIRLA believes in the welfare of children, that the welfare of children always have to come first, their safety. This is why we commit to working hand in hand with the City of Long Beach, Mayor Garcia, the City Council, and everybody who is working arduously to ensure that these children are safe. We need to ensure that at all times, children are cared with the absolute highest standards of care and due process. While the facility like a convention center is preferable to certainly a Border Patrol detention prison where migrants have been known to be mistreated, disregarded, and even died, housing migrants in large complexes such as this have to be temporary in nature. What I saw today at the Long Beach Convention Center and what I felt is that HHS, ORR, the City of Long Beach, and every single community member who has had a part in this has done this with a great level of care, of love, that are thinking of moving forward together in making sure that these children quickly are reunified with their parents. And it is important for us to understand that this is what welcoming means. This is what regard for children means. Of course, CHIRLA opposes the detention of immigrants and children, and we urge the administration to make it their immediate goal to release all the children to their family members and to caring adults here in the United States. We want to make sure that the reunification process happens quickly, that the children and the parents have representation, and that they are processed, especially those who might have lost their parents in the migrant trail, that they're processed as a family unit. We also want to send a message to the parents, and this is very important. We want to make sure that the parents hear that they can come forward to reunite with their children without fear of their immigration status in this country. The Biden administration has reiterated that they will not go after parents after picking up their children, a practice that was common under the Trump administration. CHIRLA is here to help these parents and any sponsor who needs more information about the processes that they need to go through to quickly reunite with their children. You can call us at our Immigrant Assistance Hotline, 1-888-6-CHIRLA, and there'll be individuals who are ready to talk to you, community education workers as well as legal staff. I want to say this in Spanish. Quiero darle también un mensaje a los padres, que sus niños aquí en la convención, en el centro de convenciones de Long Beach, van a ser cuidados, pero que nosotros también queremos que ustedes sepan que no tienen que tener miedo de venir a organizaciones como CHIRLA o a otros a buscar a sus niños. Nosotros les podemos ayudar. Y si ustedes tienen temor por su estatus migratorio, queremos que ustedes entiendan que hay mucha gente que quiere ayudarles para que entiendan el proceso, cómo es que trabaja este sistema, para que rápidamente ustedes puedan tener custodia de sus niños, que yo sé que están ansiosos de verlos. CHIRLA, pueden llamar a nuestra línea de asistencia 1886-CHIRLA y allí habrá personas de la organización que le pueden ayudar y pueden contestar sus preguntas sobre el proceso y también ayuda legal si lo necesitan. We acknowledge that only through immigration reform can we address the root causes of immigration and create systems that safeguard and protect the lives of children. We do need immigration reform, and we needed it a long time ago. What you see with these children is the result of not taking action, so we have to take action. And the action that we have to take is in Washington, D.C. There are decisions that can be made so these children don't have to go through this, so parents don't have to go through it, so families can be unified. That's what we need. In the meantime, what has happened here is that communities of love and welcoming have come together, have used their community resources, brought them all together so that children can be safe, so that while they wait for their parents, while they get the legal representation that they need, that in the meantime, they know that somebody cares for them. Thank you very much, City of Long Beach, and thank you everybody who has had a role in making this center, this temporary center, possible. Muchas gracias.
Thank you to Angelica. And I want to go ahead and now bring up Jessica Quintana. Jessica Quintana is the executive director of Centro Cha, which is Long Beach, not only Long Beach's oldest but largest organization centered around Latinos, the Latino Chicano community, and does enormous work around immigration and advocacy, which we agree with as well. So, Jessica.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Quintana, and I'm the Executive Director of Centro Cha, as the mayor said, the largest city's premier Latino organization here in Long Beach. And on behalf of our board of directors, we are so proud of our city to take this humanitarian endeavor to welcome the migrant children to Long Beach. And I say this not only because I am a service provider of over 20 years in the city of Long Beach, but I grew up in this great city. I've been living here since 1965. And my father was a head electrician here for the convention center. So I have the fondest memories of the convention center and being a child growing up in Long Beach. As many of you may know, Long Beach is a gateway for new immigrants. And so we have the recipes and the community love here in our city. Today also we have in partnership our Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, our community agencies of Interval House and the Child Guidance Center, all willing to participate in the welfare and caring of our young people here at the convention center. It is important that when our young children, the migrant children who come here, we know they're going to be greeted with love and care, as every experience here at the convention center has been just that. you know, as a child growing up here and having the experiences of coming here to the Ice Capades and experiencing the many wonders of the convention center, we still see that to this day. As an organization who provides cultural and leadership, we have many cultural celebrations in partnership with the convention center, who understands firsthand the needs of our community. So we are so proud of our city, of our mayor, taking this endeavor to welcome the migrant children, doing our part as a city, because it is a broken system. It has been neglected for decades, and it's important, as our partner from Chile said, that we have an immigration reform. It's necessary, it's needed. Today, you know, those discussions need to happen, because children, you know, no longer can take this plight through thousands of miles trying to seek refuge and coming in our country, because it's not the safest thing, and they're so lucky to be able to have, you know, us as a city to be able to create that space for these young children. And so, you know, we are here in full support of our city and the welcoming of the refugee children coming here. We are so proud of our mayor and our city manager and all our city council members of taking that decision. We know that the children is going to love our space, as many children in our city do. So I just want to thank everybody today. The site and the tour was beautiful. The children are going to be so comfortable here. And we will continue to stay connected with our mayor and city council members to ensure that all our children are united and that they're provided with the best quality of care. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to have our last speaker come up. Before I bring him up, I want to just note, I'm going to say a few remarks shortly in Spanish, also after he speaks, and then we'll go open up for questions. I'm going to have, on this tour, of course, we've had a variety of community leaders, also faith leaders from the faith community, and Pastor Sanders, who heads up our Ministers Alliance and has hosted conversations around this humanitarian mission, has also joined us. So I want to just have Pastor Sanders say a few words, and then I'll say something in Spanish, and we'll open it up for questions. So, Pastor Sanders.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gregory Sanders, and I lead the Rock Christian Fellowship as well as the Long Beach Ministers Alliance. And I have to tell you, I am more than excited, and I'm really glad to say that this is not a political matter. This is really the truest form of Christians' expressions of compassion. If you ever want to see Christian compassion, I believe I just witnessed that today. And as a result, the space is filled with expressions of love and care, wellness, hope, and even inspiration. I really am happy to say that this space is designed to produce an active and kind of thriving life while here. And it's created for children not just to just survive, but to thrive while we are caring for them. There's 4 takeaways I'd like to encourage our community to activate when you either hear this or you hear of this experience or our efforts here. And that is we have to operate from a place of prayer. We want to pray, we want to learn, we want to understand, and we want to educate. And what I mean by that is we want to pray for the children and their families, and we want to pray for every system that's connected to their wellness and care. We want to learn from this shared experience. What a great opportunity our city and our community has to actually learn to love a family and their children. And then we want to understand. And I think that's one of the things that my takeaway is that we want to understand why we have been called to love on these children. And then finally, we want to educate. And I think it's important for us that have seen this experience to educate the uninformed. So thank you very much, Mayor, HHS, and home, everyone that's participating. You've done an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to say a few remarks in Spanish. I also just want to note that our immigrant defenders, which is an organization, immigrant rights defenders, I know they're here somewhere. I just want to make sure that everyone is also aware that Immigrant Defenders is an organization that provides legal service and protection and support for every child that comes into this shelter. They are working with HHS, and I know they are here if there's also questions, to ensure that every child also has legal representation. And so not only will the children have food and education and access to care, they will also have the appropriate legal representation that they may need in the process. And so grateful to their work that, here as well. Déjame nomás decir unas palabras en español. Soy Roberto García, el alcalde de la ciudad de Long Beach, y quería nomás decir que estamos acá en este momento para ayudar a los niños que están viniendo acá a los Estados Unidos y que necesitan nuestro apoyo y nuestro amor. Es importante que nosotros, como un país y como una comunidad, que apoyemos a estos niños y niñas que están viniendo acá a los Estados Unidos, muchos sin sus familias. Acá en este centro vamos a tener hasta 1,000 niños. A la mayoría que van a estar acá van a ser niñas y también unos cuantos bebés también, pero la mayoría van a ser niñas. Tenemos acá, cada persona que viene y todas las niñas van a tener oportunidad para educación, horas de educación, van a tener oportunidad para ir afuera, para jugar juegos. Cuando llegan hay libros, hay cosas para que ellos se sientan bastante con amor de esta comunidad. También hemos dado este tour hoy día con bastantes gentes de la comunidad, con miembros del concejal de la ciudad de Long Beach, y además queremos dar gracias a ellos por apoyando a este centro. Y también quiero decir que es importante que este centro es una misión humanitaria, que es temporalmente nomás, es temporary locación, y la misión es que cada niño o niña esté reunido con su familia lo más rápido posible. Eso es lo más importante, que cada niño o niña esté con su familia lo más rápido posible y que tengan lo más amor y apoyo posible. Más quería dar esas palabras en español también. Con eso, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any questions. I think they've set up, Kevin has maybe set up questions, and a variety of folks can answer the question. Of course, we have HHS here also, who, if there's a question that we may not be able to answer, HHS can also, of course, answer the question. So, please.
Good morning, Sullivan with the division. And I want to ask you, so you're telling us that it's going to be up to 1,000 children in this facility. How many are you expecting are they coming in today? And how many of those 1,000 that you're expecting to come in are coming in today? And also, for transparency, what kind of a budget are you working with for these humanitarian
So to answer the first part of the questions, we don't know the exact number today, but we do expect that there will be some children that will be arriving today. We heard a number earlier that it could be a couple dozen children that will arrive today, but that's really a flexible number. And not all the children arrive at once, so it's not like 1,000 arrive in one time. Oftentimes it'll be a couple hundred will arrive, and then maybe a couple days another group will arrive. But it will be at any given time no more than 1,000. But of course, different children will come at different times. As far as the budget is concerned, that would be an HHS question. As a reminder, the City of Long Beach does not operate the program here. We're merely the host of the facility, and the whole operation and everything that happens inside the facility is a Health and Human Services program. Next question.
Good morning, Mayor. My name is Jorge Mundo. I have two questions, one for you and one for HSS. Allow me to. I'm going to make the question in Spanish because it's easier
Sure.
for me. Okay. Los refugios en Texas han sido calificados como centros de detención, inclusive comparados con cárceles. ¿Cuál es la diferencia de este centro de refugio a los que hemos visto en Texas, donde los menores están amontonados y literalmente en jaulas?
Bueno, es completamente diferente. Acá la área, y sabemos que también hemos tenido oportunidad que gente de la press también ha ido adentro, allá ha tomado fotos y todo eso, pero vas a ver que todas las niñas van a estar en grupos, como unos 25, 30 niñas tienen una área, es abierto, pueden ir afuera, tienen todo lo que necesitan, hay un lugar que pueden las niñas entrar y agarrar ropa y agarrar lo que necesitan, hay juegos para jugar, van a estar adentro de un escuela que hemos creído adentro 3 o 4 horas al día. Es una situación completamente diferente de lo que está pasando en el border. Y la razón que estamos nosotros acá hoy día es porque queremos que niños no deben estar en esos lugares. Y cuando lleguen acá, tenemos que ponerlos con su familia inmediatamente.
May I ask a question for the HHS?
Sure, they told me one per, I don't know if it's one per person, so sorry about that, yeah.
Good morning, Lori Perez from CBS. Mr. Mayor, you have shared your family's immigration story, and aside from all the technical aspects of all this, I'm curious how you felt as you stood in that space and thought of the children who would be there.
I mean, to be very honest, I felt very emotional, and I was telling Angelica actually that, you know, when I came to the United States, I was 5 years old, and under very different circumstances, but still poor and still without a lot of support here in the United States. And so I feel for me, it's very personal that each child is welcomed. And I'm very grateful that there were welcoming Americans and welcoming people when I arrived with my family that showed us kindness and love. And then eventually guided us through a very complex process to become citizens. I'm also very grateful that I was given the opportunity to become a U.S. citizen, and I think it breaks my heart that we have a system today where children cannot receive the same kind of opportunity that I received when I went through the immigration system. And it's been the 1980s since we've had any type of real strong immigration reform or any type of pathway to citizenship or stronger support for refugees that are coming in. And so I agree with everyone that immigration reform and policy change has to be the focus. But it has been emotional for me, and I'm just grateful to HHS for their work and their work in the future.
Hello, Jason from Long Beach Post. This is questions for the mayor. You mentioned that in addition to elected officials, community members were allowed in. I know there were pool photographers allowed in, but when will the media be allowed to access the site after the kids arrive to document that the things that you said are going to be provided are being provided in a way that I think most residents hope that they will be?
So, I mean, I can get someone from HHS to connect with you after, Jason. Once, obviously, it's an HHS facility. The city won't be overseeing any of the kind of in and out process. What I can tell you from what's happened in San Diego, I know that in San Diego there have been other tours or other delegations that have come in once the kids have arrived, but those have been facilitated by HHS. And so HHS will be kind of facilitating all of that, and we'll connect you with there will be an on-site HHS PIO and communications person that we'll connect you with.
Thank you so much. My name's Amy Tax, and I'm from the Associated Press. This question is either for HHS or for you, Mayor. We'd like to know who has the contract to actually operate this facility, and what are the staffing ratios that are being guaranteed for general care, caseworkers, and whether the city is providing any staff or volunteers to assist, and in what capacity?
I can answer the second part of the question, and then maybe someone from HHS wants to answer the first part, but I don't know all the exact ratios. I think some of them were mentioned. As far as the volunteer process, I can say that we have launched a volunteer portal where folks can get engaged. Most of the interaction with children is done by the providers and staff that have all gone through background checks and have been fully vetted by the federal government. So from a volunteer perspective, there will be volunteer opportunities, but those folks will have to go through a process and won't be the daily interaction with children that the staff will have because of the insurance for health and safety of the child. As far as the ratios, maybe someone from HHS can answer.
Okay, hi, I'm Bonnie Preston. I'm the acting regional director for HHS for Region 9, and I'm based out of San Francisco. So happy to be welcomed here with such great generosity from the city of Long Beach. So I first need to say that. In terms of staffing ratios, they follow the our agency, our Administration for Children of Families, Office of Refugee Resettlement staffing ratios. And I know a lot, our ORR people on staff are busy here setting up processes right now, but it depends on the, you know, ages of the children. But as we were explaining on the tour, that children with who are younger here will have, there's a higher staffing ratio. I think it's 1 to 5. I can get you all of those. And then the older children, it's more like 1 to 8 in terms of youth care workers. And then for case management, there's a different staffing ratio as well, because the youth care workers will bring their children to case management for assistance. So those case managers on site will be working with the whole shelter population. So we're gearing up every day with our staffing as the census of children we receive increases, and based on the ages of those children. And you asked about the prime contractor, and that is a company called DRC, which is a emergency response, and they have been involved with our operations in longer term permanent facilities. So we're so pleased knowing that on day one, they'll be ready to start case management, start to intake children, start the process of reunification with their families or verified sponsors. So happy to give more information on that when we get our ORR folks. Yes?
Hi, Bonnie. This might actually be a question for you.
Okay.
Margaret Carrera with Canix Radio. Thank you so much for taking the question.
Thank you.
Can you speak a little bit more about that reunification process, and like, are we talking about families that are already here in the United States? Are we trying to find their parents who may still be on the other side of the border? What are we talking about?
Well, what happens is when children are transferred from Border Patrol into HHS custody, so all the children at this facility will be there, are in HHS custody when they arrive here. In terms of the reunification process, then the onus is on HHS to make sure everybody who is turned over to an adult, that those adults are appropriately vetted. And the children often come with names and contact information of their relatives, and those relatives might be back home as well as in the States. So when they first get here, they want to call and tell people that they've made the journey, you know, they've made it to the United States and where they are. So those international calls go out, and sometimes, and then when the case management reunification process is going on, those children often they come wanting to be unified with relatives in the United States. So this reunification is with relatives in the United States.
Thank you. Bill Pearl with LBReport.com. I'd like to get some clarity on the White House aspect of this from the mayor.
Okay, Mayor.
Exactly who contacted whom initially on this? Who were the parties to that conversation? Was the conversation email, by phone, about when did it take place, and who handled the follow-up with the city? Thank you.
Sure. I think the question was about who on the White House side came in contact with the city.
Who initially contacted whom?
Sure. I'd have to know the exact person. I believe the initial conversation was from the White House Office of Intergovernmental Relations, which is typical for programs like this. The initial email and phone call came to our office, my chief of staff, and myself within the same day. I think we've released the date of that call. I don't know if it was March, Diana? March 25th. I believe it was Miss Julie Rodriguez, who is the head of Intergovernmental Relations. And then since then, there have been constant communications with HHS, city staff. I personally have talked to Secretary Becerra as well, and all the coordination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor. Christina Gonzalez, KTTV 11. I want to clarify, this is only for siblings at this point? That's what we are told in number 2. I mean, Long Beach has one of the most extensive homeless assistance programs for the unhoused, but there have been questions, some criticism, possibly for homeless families with children? You can address this.
Thank you. I can answer both of those. Thank you for asking the first question. Maybe I wasn't as clear earlier. A few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago it was looking like we were going to have all sibling pairs. We will still have sibling pairs here, but we will also have, it's going to be mostly young girls, and there'll be sibling pairs within that, but some will not have sibling pairs. So I want to just let me clarify that. It's now just young girls. There will be sibling pairs within that. And on occasion, we'll get, there could be younger toddlers, but the vast majority will be girls from the ages of, I think HHS, 5+. That will be a vast majority of the children that are here will be girls 5+. And the second piece was on homelessness. Let's be clear, homelessness has been a crisis in Long Beach and in the United States for years, and it will continue to be. I'm a strong believer that you can do the right thing on homelessness. You can do the right thing to support children, to support the crisis on the border all at once. In Long Beach, we have opened up multiple shelters just in the last year. We've purchased hotels and motels to convert them to housing. As we talk today, we have rooms available in shelters and in locations across the city where folks experiencing homelessness can get shelter. And so it's a complex issue, but we work on that issue every single day, and it is of top concern for the city. Any other questions?
Hi, it's Kelly Puente with the Long Beach Post. Since we haven't been able to be in there to tour it, Mayor, can you describe a little bit about what more it looks like in there? Are there different beds set up in some of the various conference rooms? Are they going to be making meals in the convention center kitchen area? Just a little bit more detail about what it looks like in there, what the beds look like.
Yeah, I think there was a pool photographer and videographer in the tour. So I know that the AP and the Wire are going to release all the photos and the images. So I think hopefully that will all come out. But it is, I guess it's hard for me to describe. Maybe, Angelica, do you want to describe a little bit about the classrooms and the spaces?
So what I saw was, first of all, when the children will walk in, there'll be a welcome area where the children can actually sit and lounge, sit and be there. The most important space is obviously their sleeping space, and so they're distanced out so that each child can really feel like they have their own space. There's lots of different cots, so they'll be sleeping on cots. I think that's important, with clean sheets and just I think the basics, but very important. Those basics are important. Then there is also a recreation area, a very large recreation area. We weren't able to look at the classroom facilities because they're being set up, but they will also be classroom facilities. But I also, when I said that, what is it that I felt when I walked in? I saw bright colors. I saw butterflies on the walls. I saw a spirit of a lot of people thinking about the small details so that when those children walked in, they didn't just look at what I would just say, just these large walls, and that could be very scary for a child. They will also be able to go outside, and I think that's important as well, because many facilities don't allow the children to go outside. So there's also a space. There's places where the children can shower. Of course, they're going to be cared for during this entire time. My understanding, as we were given the tour, that the children are going to have 24/7 care and vigilance, because we do know that it's important that they are safe at all times because of all the things that we know have happened in these different facilities. So again, I want to stress color, warmth, children. It looks like a place where children can be. So I think that's so important.
And I'll add one thing. At each area where the child will sleep, they're welcomed with there's either a stuffed animal or some books or a backpack, some stuff on the bed, and then underneath each one, which may not be visible, there's actually a kind of a box that you can pull out, and there's clothes in there and shoes and materials and books and other toys and things that each child will have that's underneath each bed. Also, one thing that has been noted is, I think I mentioned there's a store that's inside also, where each child will be able to go and pick out, so that each child has agency and has the ability to make decisions on their own as well. The child can go and select, I want this shirt, or I want this pair of shoes, or I would like to have this. I will say also, Kelly, that I think most of us have probably seen images from our neighbors in San Diego and understand kind of that open floor plan that's there. I think what you'll see here is I think a very warm, a little bit more colorful, inviting setup. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but we have been told by our HHS partners and the Office of Refugee Resettlement that they view our center as the most welcoming of these humanitarian mission shelters that they have seen, and that ours seems to be, up to now, the most welcoming, and that they hope to model some of the features into some of the other spaces. And that was said, I can say that because that was said on the record with reporters there. So.
Okay. Mayor Maria Elena Garcia Villalobos with TV Azteca. I'm going to ask in English because I don't know if it's for you or for DHS.
Sure.
You have said that this is not going to have any cost for the city of Long Beach. When you access the webpage, it says that if somebody wants to help, a monetary donation would be appreciated. How would those funds would be used if somebody makes a contribution, a monetary contribution?
Great question. So we of course asked HHS what ways can the community help, and what we've heard from the community is they want multiple ways of helping. So some people want to donate direct money. We've had calls from say, we want to give money, how can we do it? Other people have called us and said, we want to volunteer. Other people have said, we want to donate items. And so we try to create as many of the opportunities as possible.
¿Puede decírmelo en español?
Oh, claro que sí.
Gracias.
Okay. Gente que nos ha llamado a nosotros nos ha preguntado diferentes maneras que ellos pueden ayudar. So, gente nos ha llamado a nosotros, nos ha dicho queremos dar dinero, otra gente nos ha dicho queremos dar libros, otra gente nos ha dicho que nos ven a ayudar a los niños directamente. So, creamos un sistema que alguien puede ayudar de cualquier manera que quieren. Si están donando nomás una donación de dinero directamente, eso va a una foundation de la ciudad que se llama The Community Foundation, que tiene esos tipos de sistemas, y ellos tienen ese dinero y un ejemplo que pueden hacer es que van a comprar, ejemplo, como un gift card. So en el gift card ponen dinero para el niño o la niña, y cuando ellos capaz salen de este shelter, tienen un gift card para que ellos tengan ayuda. O capaz pueden comprar cosas que, porque acá le dan todo, pero más cosas, capaz más libros o más oportunidades. So esos son ejemplos. Yeah.
We'll now be taking our final question.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. Okay. I'm Andrea Castillo with the LA Times. This is a question for HHS. I'm wondering what the daily costs are for this facility, and is any amount being paid to the city of Long Beach for operation of the facility?
Yeah. So the city, I know that HHS, we are in a contract with the convention center for the site. So we have rented the convention center and the portion that we're using. It's still, the portion that's being used as the vaccination site is still up and running, so we're not renting that part. In terms of overall cost, I think given that it is an emergency and each site has different needs, I can't really tell you right now what the cost of this per day right now is. I don't know if the congressman has anything, but we can get that information for you, or we can make a formal request to HHS for that.
Okay. Is there any sort of estimation or average for the other facilities as they've been operating?
I'm sure we could get a number for you, but I'm just not privy to that today. I mean, our focus today is opening this center, and we want it to be ready for children today. So we're really in an emergency situation. So the budgets are, rolling out as we see what the need is, and the budget will meet the need to keep the children safe. Okay. Okay.
I'll add to that also. Let me just add to that also, just to be very clear, the contract is with the convention center. And so the city itself is not, the convention center is the city's. But the contract is, of course, with the convention center directly. And so there's no direct contract with the city of Long Beach. I think, and as you already know, the costs eventually, I mean, that's all public information at the end of the day. And as far as the contracts and everything else in place, I imagine, because it's already been requested of us at the city, that contracting information and costs and all of that is all being compiled right now. The city is also working with our partners to get out all that information as far as what on our end, because as a city, we will absolutely have to and will be putting out all the information as far as what the contracting cost looks like on our end. Okay. Thank you all very much.